You know that annoying hic sound that seems to pop up at the worst possible moments? Well, turns out there's way more to hiccups than just a quirky body glitch. Today, we're diving deep into what actually causes hiccups, the fascinating science behind them, and most importantly, how to make them stop. By the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly what's happening in your body during a hiccup attack and have some proven strategies to deal with them.
And you know what's really interesting? This isn't just some random muscle spasm, it's actually a complex reflex involving multiple nerves and muscles working together.
Wait, really? I always thought it was just my diaphragm being weird.
Well, the diaphragm is definitely involved, but it's much more complex. When you hiccup, your diaphragm and intercostal muscles suddenly contract. Then your vocal cords snap shut almost immediately after, which creates that characteristic hic sound we all know.
So it's like a whole choreographed dance routine happening in our body?
Exactly. And you know what's fascinating? The medical term for hiccups is singultus, which comes from the Latin word meaning to catch one's breath while sobbing.
That's actually pretty poetic for such an annoying condition.
It is. And speaking of annoying, while most hiccup episodes are brief, some people can experience them for much longer. According to medical classification, hiccups lasting more than 48 hours are considered persistent, and if they go beyond a month, they're classified as intractable.
A month? That sounds absolutely terrible.
It can be devastating. These long-term hiccups can seriously impact quality of life, causing problems with eating, sleeping, and even leading to weight loss and exhaustion.
So what actually triggers hiccups in the first place?
There are several common triggers. Eating too quickly, drinking carbonated beverages, or consuming alcohol are frequent causes. Sudden excitement or emotional stress can also trigger them.
That explains why they often show up at the worst possible moments, like during important meetings or first dates.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets really interesting. The whole process involves something called the vagus nerve, which is like the body's superhighway of communication between the brain and various organs.
Tell me more about this vagus nerve. Sounds important.
It's fascinating, actually. The vagus nerve acts like a natural pacemaker in our body. Just as it helps regulate heart rate, it's also involved in the hiccup reflex arc.
A reflex arc? What's that?
Think of it as a three-part circuit. There's an afferent limb that includes the phrenic, vagus, and sympathetic nerves, a central processing unit in the midbrain, and an efferent limb that carries motor signals to the diaphragm and intercostal muscles.
Wow, that's way more complex than I thought.
And that's why there are so many different ways to try to stop hiccups. We're essentially trying to interrupt this circuit at different points.
Speaking of stopping them, what actually works? I've heard everything from drinking water upside down to being scared suddenly.
Well, there are several scientifically backed methods. One is the Valsalva maneuver, where you try to exhale while pinching your nose and keeping your mouth closed.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It can be, but it works by creating pressure changes that affect the vagus nerve. Another proven method is breathing into a paper bag, which helps regulate your breathing pattern.
Any other techniques that don't make you look quite so silly in public?
Actually, yes. Sipping cold water slowly or gently pressing on your eyes can help stimulate the vagus nerve and stop hiccups.
That's much more dignified.
And here's something interesting. Recent research is exploring new treatments for severe cases, including magnetic stimulation.
Magnetic stimulation? That sounds high-tech.
It is. A recent study found that repetitive peripheral magnetic stimulation was actually more effective than traditional medication for treating intractable hiccups in stroke patients.
That's amazing. But hopefully, most of our listeners won't need anything that intense.
Right. Most hiccup episodes are brief and harmless, but it's important to know when they might signal something more serious.
When should someone be concerned about their hiccups?
According to the Mayo Clinic, if hiccups last more than 48 hours or are severe enough to interfere with eating, sleeping, or breathing, you should see a doctor.
That makes sense. Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. And sometimes persistent hiccups can be a sign of underlying conditions that need treatment.
Like what kind of conditions?
They can be related to various issues, from gastrointestinal problems to central nervous system disorders. Sometimes they're even medication-induced.
That's really good to know. What about prevention? Are there ways to avoid getting hiccups in the first place?
Yes, there are several preventive measures. Eating slowly, avoiding carbonated drinks, and managing stress can help reduce the likelihood of hiccups.
You know, it's kind of amazing how something as seemingly simple as hiccups can be so complex.
It really is. And research continues to uncover new aspects of this fascinating reflex.
Speaking of research, are there any new studies or treatments on the horizon?
Actually, yes. There's some interesting work being done with osteopathic manipulative therapy. Michigan State University is currently conducting a study on this approach.
What exactly is osteopathic manipulative therapy?
It's a hands-on treatment technique performed by trained osteopathic physicians. They're looking at whether it could help people with persistent hiccups.
That's fascinating. It reminds me of how medical treatments evolve over time.
Exactly. Just like how we used to think hiccups were just a simple annoyance, but now we understand the complex neurology behind them.
It's like that old Austin Powers joke about $1 million being a lot of money. Our understanding keeps evolving.
That's a great analogy. And just like how that joke doesn't work anymore because of inflation, our old assumptions about hiccups don't hold up to modern science.
So what's the bottom line for our listeners? What should they take away from all this?
The key takeaway is that while hiccups are usually harmless, they're actually a complex neurological process. Most cases can be managed with simple techniques like the ones we discussed.
And if they last too long, don't hesitate to see a doctor.
Exactly. More than 48 hours of hiccups is your signal to seek medical attention.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, remember that while hiccups can be annoying, they're usually just a temporary inconvenience. The body has amazing ways of maintaining balance, and hiccups are actually part of that system.